Do narcissists get worse with age? This is how their thought pattern works. Everyone, thank you for returning for another video. To all of you, I send my deepest hopes for a life filled with happiness and success. Indeed, the question that plagues the thoughts of people enmeshed with narcissists is at the center of the topic we are about to investigate, and it is one that hits close to home for many. Is there any chance that those who exhibit such harmful behaviors may eventually grow up and change their destructive ways, or will they inevitably repeat the same harmful actions forever? Generational attachments and common experiences are but two of the many threads that run through the fabric of human relationships. Parenthood fortifies these bonds, as does the inseparable bond between family members and the horrible experiences of trauma. Close relationships are a blessing in many ways, but they may also be a trap for vulnerable people who happen to meet paths with narcissists. The effects are devastating and far-reaching, leaving victims' lives in shambles. Narcissists are extremely difficult to break out from since their manipulative methods are limitless. However, while we traverse this perilous landscape, we can't help but wonder if there's a ray of sunshine just over the horizon, some sign that even narcissists have the potential for change and rebirth. It is commonly held that one's advancing years bring with them the benefits of introspection and knowledge, but the issue remains when it comes to narcissists. Does time dull or sharpen their egocentricity and destructive tendencies? We need to dig deeper into the realms of narcissism, investigating the minds of these individuals and the lasting impact they have on those unlucky enough to cross their paths, in order to fully grasp the complexities of this situation. Narcissists have an insatiable need for reinforcement of their own self-importance at any age, but a frightening change occurs as they age. Their search for satisfaction takes a more sinister bent. Negative narcissists get their needs met by inflicting misery on others. They take pleasure in knowing that they are making other people's lives miserable. Since they now consider themselves seniors, they wrongly believe they are immune to the repercussions of their actions on others. Aging can have a negative impact on narcissists. When narcissists' autonomy and narcissistic supply decrease, they frequently become more self-destructive. They don't mature into wiser people as one might expect. Rather, they become more antagonistic, manipulative, hypersensitive, angry, and entitled. This video will discuss the numerous causes of a narcissist's decline with time. You may protect your thoughts, feelings, needs, and overall well-being from the potentially harmful influence of narcissists by learning the root causes of narcissism and its effects. Learn how to defend yourself from the destructive effects of narcissism by joining us on a deep dive into the world of narcissism. There are three factors at play in the decline of narcissists with time. These explanations explain why some elderly narcissists take on their worst traits. The first is that it gets harder for narcissists to keep up their narcissistic supply as they age. Second, when narcissistic supply dwindles, the aging narcissist may experience a resurgence of previously suppressed painful thoughts, emotions, and sentiments. Finally, the narcissist's emotional instability and fragility increase when their narcissistic supply is low. The idea of narcissistic supply is undeniably crucial to understanding the demise of senior narcissists. To fully grasp the deteriorating character of aging narcissists, it is crucial to appreciate these interconnected reasons. We may protect ourselves against the harmful effects of these people by arming ourselves with the information to make deliberate and well-informed decisions after a thorough examination of these causes. 1. Narcissists' ability to restock their self-centered reserves dwindles with age. This deterioration can be explained by the fact that narcissists tend to rely on the shallowest, most materialistic, and most frivolous types of narcissistic provisioning that modern culture has to offer. They are constantly on the lookout for approval, adoration, reassurance, power, and mastery. One's sense of self-worth and sense of identity are formed by one's experiences. People who are emotionally competent are able to maintain a healthy sense of self-respect and self-identity despite external challenges. Narcissists, on the other hand, are incapable of expressing empathy. They don't have the psychological resources for maintaining a positive sense of self-worth and individuality. Therefore, they heavily rely on the most superficial, materialistic, and narcissistic sources for their sense of self. To boost their confidence and sense of self, they may try to acquire material wealth, show off expensive possessions or a dazzling appearance, or amass a large number of online followers. Narcissists place a tremendous demand on the people closest to them to satisfy their need for narcissistic gratification. Because of their skill in manipulation, they have access to an abundance of narcissistic supply. The narcissist's beauty, social standing, and sexual partners are all sources of superficial narcissistic feeding, but as time passes, these strategies become less effective, leaving the narcissist exposed. 2. When a narcissist's narcissism begins to dwindle with age, painful thoughts, sentiments, and emotions begin to surface. When main caregivers are emotionally unavailable or abusive, narcissistic supply becomes essential for emotional regulation. This is because it makes up for the lack of mirroring and affirmation they experienced as children. Narcissists have difficulty with appropriate emotional control because their cognitive development and sense of self-worth are stunted by a lack of constant affirmation, adoration, and reassurance during their early years. Among the most powerful and influential factors defining a narcissist's inner world are feelings of inadequacy, unlovability, unworthiness, weakness, and worthlessness. Narcissists try to shore up their mental health by relying on the approval of others rather than their primary caregivers. Narcissists have a hard time rising above the superficial and materialistic parts of modern life because of their low emotional intelligence. Thus, they discovered that the accessible kinds of superficial and meaningless social approval in our culture constitute the basis of a false identity. This makes it more challenging for elderly narcissists to satisfy their need for narcissistic supply. To sum up, narcissists decline with age because their false sense of self loses strength and they become more vulnerable to the destabilizing effects of negative feelings as their reserves of narcissism dwindle. 3. Aging narcissists are especially vulnerable and fragile for a number of reasons. Their mental health is seriously threatened by their age-related decline in the capacity to amass adequate narcissistic supply. This leaves them extremely vulnerable and defenseless. Narcissists are vulnerable because they lose the external validation they need when they suffer a narcissistic injury, which is a blow to their inflated sense of self-importance, uniqueness, and superiority. This isolates individuals from support and forces them to confront their painful thoughts, feelings, and experiences on their own. Narcissists are often vulnerable to their own feelings of inadequacy, unlovability, unwantedness, worthlessness, and frailty. Due to their inability to effectively regulate their emotions, they are particularly vulnerable to emotional instability in times of crisis. Thus, they may show signs of animosity, wrath, resentment, vindictiveness, and even depression. Narcissistic rage, mocking, and stonewalling are common manipulative tactics exhibited by the senior narcissist, making them difficult to deal with. In the context of a relationship with a damaged narcissist, these strategies may appear as a means of coping. Therefore, being in the company of an elderly narcissist can cause them to reveal their worst traits, making for a very challenging interaction. Finally, let's take a look at how a narcissist presents themselves to the world. Aging isn't the only cause of a narcissist's physical decline. Their dark personality shows through too. As jealousy and anger seep through the cracks in their formerly flawless mask, their actual nature becomes increasingly obvious. To individuals with keen perception, these unequivocal indicators become even clearer. Narcissists are incapable of forgiving others or letting go of their animosity and bitterness. They lose the ability to represent themselves as heroic or tragic as they get older, and their expressions become increasingly glum. Their chilly indifference betrays the emptiness and darkness within them. Despite this overwhelming body of data, many people continue to see the narcissist through the perspective of a frail old person. As always, I pray that this advice was useful and enlightening to you. In the space provided below, I invite you to express your own personal experiences and perspectives. Make sure you're subscribed to this channel and have notifications turned on so you don't miss any of our new uploads. Thank you for tuning in. We know your time is valuable.